Hello, everyone, and welcome to my draft analysis of the UNL Battle League. This is an 8-week league in which the top three people from each division move on to the playoffs. And this is a league that I applied to about a month ago or so, and I've been keeping tabs with a lot of the people there, and we've all kind of joined similar tournaments. And they're people that I've come to respect a lot, at least in the way that they draft, build, and even in the way that they talk to one another. It's very jokingly respectful, which I really enjoy. So we started the draft not too long ago, and it moved very quickly. It was a point-based draft. We got 120 points to use anywhere between 9 and 12 Pokemon. So right off the bat, I had pretty much a draft position that was right in the middle, and I hate middle draft positions. I'm pretty sure everyone does. They are the worst. It is the worst draft position to be somewhere in the middle. So I didn't think anything really that great was going to come down to me, so I settled on drafting Heatran. And one might think that I got Heatran. I didn't. It was taken the pick directly before me by the owner of the league and the current champion of the league, Spextar. I will link him in the description below. Go check him out. So I didn't get Heatran. So I just kind of saw this still sitting there, and I always type in Mega. And I grabbed Mega Mawile. And Mega Mawile was 18 points, so I'll just put that in for the nickname. Mega Mawile was 18 points, and let me just tell you a little bit about Mega Mawile. I don't allow it in my league. There are a lot of leagues that do not allow it. I understand it being allowed for a point-based system, but it's incredibly powerful. It has Fire Fang, it has the Elemental Fang moves, it has Play Rough, Knockoff, Iron Head, Power Up Punch if I really need it. It's a Stealth Rock Center. It gets priority with Sucker Punch. It can set up with Swords Dance. And I really like this Pokemon. I thought it was a really good Pokemon to build around for this draft. And the reason it's so good, like you see these stats and you think they're somewhat mediocre. Base 105 attack, 125 defense is really good, and 95 special defense. I really like that. Doesn't really have a good way of recovering, so its HP really lets it down because it's the 304 max. But huge power doubles its attack stat. So it goes from being base 105 at 246 to where if I max it out and I run Adamant because I'm not outspeeding much with base 50 speed, it hits 339, which it doubles the final total instead of the base stat total. So it goes from 339 to 678. And not much switches into that really reliably. And that's why I love Mega Mawile. It's such a powerful breaker. It can be a sweeper. And you'll see, I think I really built a good draft around it. So next Pokemon that I drafted was Zapdos. And if you know me or have heard me talk about Draft League at all, you know that Zapdos is my favorite Draft League Pokemon. Barring any Mega, anything. Zapdos, I think, is one of the top 5 Draft League Pokemon, and I think it is highly underrated. Like, I'll be honest, people know it's good. It's no big to do to hear or say that Zapdos is good, but I think it is top 5 because the electric flying type is incredible. Electric's only weakness is ground, and flying negates that, so the electric type on Zapdos is merely just a purely good defensive half typing and a great offensive typing. Zapdos was 15 points, by the way, so I've used 33 points. So not too much, not too little. So I love Zapdos. I love running a bulky magnet set, running choice sets, leftovers, bulky, subtoxic. It gets static with pretty much all of its moves now, so that's really nice. And basically, it's Discharge, Roost, it can Roar, it can U-turn and a Volt Switch, which is really nice, Toxic. And it's just a really great defensive and offensive Pokemon just because Electric and Flying is such a good offensive typing as well. Not many Pokemon switch into both of those stats really effectively. And the thing with it is it doesn't look like it's incredibly bulky, but its typing makes it very bulky, and it has a great HP stat, which maxes out at 384, and it has a very good speed stat, so it's able to roost up on slower threats. It can outspeed a lot of things if you're running offensive. It can outspeed a lot of offensive or defensive threats if you're just running bulky. So it can roost up before it takes a hit, and it does really well in that sense. And I think it pairs up with Mega Mawile really well because it takes away that ground immunity, or it gives me a ground immunity for Mega Mawile. Mega Mawile's biggest problems are kind of ground, possibly fire, I would say, are the big ones. So next Pokemon I drafted, if you've been following me in the MPDA tournament at all, you know that I have Reuniclus. And I picked it up here as well. And here I was thinking, all right, I'm going to grab Reuniclus, I'm going to grab a Regenerator Core, I'm going to grab Tangrowth next. Tangrowth was picking pretty much immediately after I grabbed Reuniclus, so no Tangrowth for me. But I do love Reuniclus. I love that it gets Regenerator and Magic Guard. It's a really good setup sweeper with Calm Minds or Acid Armor, anything like that. It makes it really bulky. And it's such a good Pokemon. Base 110 HP, 125 special attack. Really slow. But another really good thing, something else I really liked about grabbing Reuniclus is that it gave me a Trick Room option for Mega Mawile. So I could run a very, very slow team and run Trick Room with my Reuniclus in order to set up for Mega Mawile. Because not much with Mega Mawile really, nothing really wants to come in on a Mega Mawile in Trick Room. Let's be honest there. So next Pokemon I grabbed, since Tangrowth was taken, I saw that Keldeo was still sitting there for 14 points, and I really don't like Keldeo. Typically, it's a tier 1, at least in the tiered system, and I don't think it's worth it because it mainly runs one set. But the more I kind of thought about Keldeo, the more I really liked it, because it's a water fighting type, which is a really good offensive typing. And water, it can be bulky because it has base 91 speed and 90 defenses, which is really nice. It could run Swords Dance, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, so Priority, Hydro Pump, Icy Wind, Sacred and Secret Sword. So it has a lot of really good options, especially with Taunt as well. So I really started to like this pick. I don't think I'd ever use a tier 1 pick for it, but I really like it for 14 points here. Like, it is almost as good as Zapdos, but not quite there. I think Zapdos may have been a little underpriced, but that's also because I have such a high affinity for Zapdos. But base 108 speed gives me a speed tier above base 100. It makes it so I don't need to run a Trick Room option with Reuniclus, which is really nice. And I can run bulky, or I could run offensive. There's a lot of different sets that I can run with Keldeo, which is nice. So the next Pokemon that I ended up picking was Kyurem. I finally grabbed my Dragon type to round out a Fairy Dragon Steel Core with Mega Mawile, which fills both Fairy and Steel, and my Dragon type with Kyurem. And when I look at Kyurem, I think it is just a bulky dragon. And you think Ice is a terrible defensive typing, but somehow with Kyurem it works really well. Running bulky Kyurem is really nice. It has a base 125 HP, and it has even attack stats with 130 in both attack and special attack, even defense stats with 90, and a base 95 speed. It is an incredibly good Pokemon. It's well-rounded. Also, it was worth 12 points. I keep forgetting to do that. So 12 points. It can run bulky. It can run speedy. It can run specs. It can run scarf. It could be life orb. And I could basically do whatever I want with Kyurem. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with this draft, is I wanted to keep my options open. I didn't want to run strictly one-dimensional sets. Like, I know I said that Keldeo is pretty one-dimensional with the sets that it runs, but I can run it bulky, as well as Kyurem. I can run it bulky, which is really nice, but I can also run it offensively, as well as Reuniclus can be offensive Life Orb with Magic Guard, but it can also be defensive Leftovers, Combine setup, possibly. Same with Zapdos and Mega Mawile, just leaning all towards Mega Mawile being able to really hit hard. And also, not many things are going to really like switching into the specially offensive threats that I have right now, being Zapdos, Keldeo, and Kyurem. So I really enjoy this team so far, if you can't tell. So next Pokemon I grabbed, I wanted to kind of cement that Trick Room option and have another really good Trick Room sweeper outside of just Mawile. So I grabbed Alolan Marowak. And the thing about Alolan Marowak is it is a Tapu killer, but it is also so strong because it has a base 80 attack, which isn't very strong until you apply the Thick Club, which doubles its attack. So it's basically pure power, but with an item. And then I can run Lightning Rod. I can run Rockhead with Flare Blitz, which is awesome. And its Fire Ghost typing is such a good offensive typing. It also gives me a Spin Blocker, and it also gives me my second Stealth Rock user, which is really nice, really needed on my team. So right now I'm not weak to hazards, but I don't like them very much. I'm pretty weak to hazards at this point. And my only remover is Zapdos, so I do want to fix that, and I fixed that in my next few picks, which is nice. But the good thing is that Mawile really doesn't take much from rocks, and I can kind of work around it with the other ones with Roost and Recovery. So Marowak was 11 points, and such a good Pokemon. Shadow Bone hits incredibly hard. I don't really see myself running special because, base 50 special attack, but it can run bulky with Will-O-Wisp. It can run Toxic. I can run Swords Dance and just boost my attack even higher. So just a really good Pokemon. I can run Pain Split if I wanted to. I just noticed that it got that. So very good Pokemon there. So those were my first 6 Pokemon. I'll spoil it a little bit. I draft another 6. I decided to go full 12 Pokemon. So these next Pokemon are kind of lower on the spectrum. So the next Pokemon that I grabbed was 9 points, and it was Whimsicott. And I grabbed another Fairy type, which is fine, because I also filled out a Grass Pokemon. So it filled out a Fire, Water, Grass core with Keldeo and Alolan Marowak, and now Whimsicott. And I love Whimsicott. One of my good friends has used it to an incredible amount of success in BTR, my league, and I want to give it a shot. I've used it before, but I don't think I used it very well, and I think I have a better understanding of how to use it now. Prankster works on anything that's not Dark type, so I can stop anything from setting up on me with Prankster Encore. I can Prankster Taunt, it can U-turn, Nature Power is really nice, Moonblast, Memento, just a really good Pokemon. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun using them. So I think I'm going to be able to find some fun sets to use and bring, and I think they're going to be very effective, especially with the team that I'm kind of surrounding it with. So next Pokemon that I grabbed was another option for momentum, and I grabbed Alolan Persian. And I love Alolan Persian. It is such a good Pokemon. Just immediately, Parting Shot. Parting Shot is such a good move because it gives you the initiative to switch out, and it reduces your opponent's attacks by 1 stage, both attack and special attack. So that immediately just can invite in Mawile to come in and just get a huge hit off on something. It can invite in a Specs Kyurem. It can invite in my Alolan Marowak or my Zapdos or Reuniclus to start setting up, and it just is such a great utility mon on this team. I think it's going to allow for so many Pokemon to come in and be successful. Also, this was 6 points, so not 67, 6 points. Something else to note about Whimsicott is that it gets Prankster Defog, which is part of the hazard removing that I now have. And Alolan Persian, foul play, so it doesn't really get set up on. It can taunt, Toxic, Switcheroo, Nasty Plot, special attacking Nasty Plot is really good, especially if you run Technician with the hidden power. It can hit very hard. So I think it's a really good Pokemon, and it's one of my favorites, especially considering Parting Shot is such a good utility to have on a team, especially such a bulky offensive team that I have. So, next Pokemon that I grabbed was another hazard removing option. I grabbed Sandslash. And I'm not the biggest fan of Sandslash, but I've seen one person in particular, I don't remember their name, but they used offensive Sandslash a lot, and it catches a lot of people off guard, which I really like. And if one of my opponents has Sand, I can run Sand Rush, which might work. I don't have Sand. I'll say that right now. I do not. I didn't want it. I was good. I basically wanted it for Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin, and it gives me another Stealth Rock user. So I basically have it for that. Earthquake is nice. And it gets a lot of good coverage moves. Since it was from Gen 1, it got a lot of good coverage moves. So I'm not upset with this pick at all. I actually really like it. And I think I'm going to be able to use him very well. Hopefully I can kind of get rid of some rocks, because that's pretty much what he's here for, is getting rid of rocks. And he was only 4 points. So I thought he was a very good value pick for not only getting rocks up, but getting rid of rocks. So that gives me another Stealth Rocker, my third one, and my third way of removing hazards, which is nice. So, next Pokemon that I ended up taking was to kind of make up for the loss of the Tangrowth pick. So I still don't have a second Regenerator Mon to pair with my Reuniclus, and I really wanted it, and I was hell-bent on grabbing Tangela. And let me tell you about Tangela. I'm rarely ever going to not run an Eviolite on it. And it's basically Tangrowth, but smaller and without Earthquake. So and the thing with Tangrowth is that to run it specially defensive, you need an Assault Vest, and you need basically max special defense EVs. And you can't run things like Leech Seed. Well, Tangela can run Leech Seed and get that boost in its special defense still, which is really nice. And base 115 defense, base 100 special attack with 65 HP is really good, especially for Eviolite and Regenerator. So I don't need to run Synthesis. I can just switch out and get 33% of my health back, which is incredibly nice. It has a base 60 speed, which isn't terrible, and I just look at it and I think that it's a really good value pick. It's also for 4 points. So I didn't see, I thought it was a better Pokemon than Sandslash, but I think Sandslash and Tangela kind of fit these niches in my team that make them work really well. So I have 2 more Pokemon to pick. I have 15 points left. So I could grab something for a 15 points, like a Dragonite or a Salamence, and not get a 12th pick. I could grab something for 14 points. I believe Latios was there. Anything else for 14 points. I could grab something very high and go with something for very low points. I decided to kind of go in the middle. For 9 points, I grabbed a Yanmega, and I hope I make a lot of people proud with this pick. I actually really like Yanmega. Yanmega was picked first overall in a draft by a Gregulator, which love that. I actually really like Yanmega. Nothing really switches into Tinted Lens, Specs, Bug Buzz, or Air Slash, which is really nice. And what Tinted Lens does is that moves that are not very effective on the opponent actually deal double damage, so it's basically a neutral hit, which is really nice. And it makes it so that you really can't switch into it very effectively, at least not with resistances. So it's a very good Pokemon. Base 116 special attack, 95 speed, which is a very good speed tier. And I can run speed boost, which is nice. I can boost that speed. Also, something I didn't mention before, Whimsicott and Persian both really fill out good speed tiers. They're both very similar. They're only 1 base point off, but they both kind of fill decent roles with the speed tiers. And base 95 speed tier is really nice because it makes base 100s run jolly or timid, even if they're expecting my Zapdos to be defensive. So very nice there to have a base 95 offensive Pokemon that my opponents have to prep for. And that's basically it. It's not going to do much else. It's going to be here and it's just going to hit hard. It's a defogger. It's a defogger that's quad weak to rocks, but it's a defogger. So last Pokemon I grabbed, I wanted more options with hazards. I wanted a setup sweeper because I don't have enough of those. I joke there. I have enough. But I grabbed Omastar, and I've been wanting to use Omastar for a long time. I will not be running Swift Swim unless I'm facing a rain team. Or even if I'm facing a rain team, I might not even bring it. But Shell Armor makes it so I can't get crit. And basically, it is Shell Smash. So Shell Smash, but it also gets Stealth Rocks, it gets Spikes, and it gets Toxic Spikes, which is really, it gets Toxic Spikes, which is very good utility for this Pokemon because I could run a dedicated lead focus sash with spikes, toxic spikes, stealth rocks, and just kind of throw up as many hazards as I can. It's very bulky on the physical side, decently bulky on the special side, and has a very good special attack stat, so it's not something that can be slept on. I have a lot of specially offensive Pokemon, which isn't really the best, but when you pair it with Alolan Marowak and Mega Mawile, I think I'm okay because they both just hit incredibly hard. They're going to force Pokemon to be brought physically defensively, so that my special defensive Pokemon or especially offensive Pokemon can run through them, and vice versa. Someone might over prep for all of my specially offensive Pokemon and get absolutely demolished by a Flame Charge Marowak or a Sucker Punch Mega Mawile. So I think I have a lot of really good offensive options here. And I think I have a team that really built around Mega Mawile very well. And this is also possibly a Trick Room option. Same with Sandslash. Omastar was 6 points. So it filled out all of the points that I could have had. So Sandslash also works under Trick Room. If I wanted to run a Tangela, I could. Different things like that. Whimsicott can set up Trick Room, which is nice. So I have a lot of different options. So now, last bit of business is that we got to use 30 points. So the points that each Pokemon were drafted at, we got to pick our Z Pokemon. So my initial thought, immediately, I went to Zapdos and Keldeo because I love Z Zapdos. And Z Keldeo is so much better with Z moves. So I was thinking, okay, that's 29 points. I could then, if I grab it, this was immediately after I drafted them. I was thinking I could grab Pokemon for 1 point, possibly like a Pikachu, and use that as my other Z Pokemon. But I didn't do that. What I ended up doing was I went Keldeo. So Keldeo is a Z Pokemon, and like I said, it makes Keldeo so much better than anything else. And then I went down here and I went to Alolan Persian because Z Pardon Shot is incredible. If you don't know what it does the regular Pardon Shot, so it reduces their attack and special attack by 1 stage and switches me out. But it also brings in the Pokemon that I'm switching in at full health, which is really nice. So here I have used 20 of my Z points, so I have 10 left. I don't have any Pokemon that I got for 10 points. So I was between Whimsicott and Yanmega, and I went with Yanmega. I went with Yanmega because I really think that a tinted lens boosted Z Bug Buzz it doesn't get taken by many things. Most things do not want to come in and take that, which is very nice. And I think it can catch a few people off guard, which is really what I'm kind of going for. So that is my draft. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy my content in any way, shape, or form, leave a like, subscribe down below, and thank you very much for checking this channel out, checking out my draft analysis for the UNL. I will have week 1 going up probably not this upcoming Sunday, but the following either Friday or Sunday, I will have it. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the future. Thank you very much.